we're gonna get started, and I am really excited to have you all here. I'll do the beginning, I'll do the intro, and then Glo will join us in a little bit to guide us through our community of practice today. And I know we have some guest speakers today, so thanks for joining us. Thank you for agreeing to participate and share. And we'll get started. And Glo's actually here, so I'll pass it on to her as she gets in. But we are here today for the Cali District Environmental Leaders Community of Practice. And here is our agenda. We're going to do a welcome. We'll get oriented to Cali if you haven't been to a Cali meeting before or a Cali project meeting. We'll build a little bit of our community and get to know each other. We're going to hear from some district leaders and then we'll close out for today. And Glo, if you want to introduce yourself also, I'm going to make you a co-host as well.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry about being tardy, everyone. We're kicking off our junior master gardener program at one of our elementary schools. So I was hustling around trying to make sure that all the second, third, fourth, fifth graders knew exactly where to go. And as you know, being everywhere at once, it's like running around like a headless chicken. But yeah, welcome to our first meeting for the district community of practice. And Paulina, if you want to like go through the slides, that'd be awesome. So the purpose of this group is really to just build connection between districts across the state and to have just share outs and conversation of what's working, where can we have some areas of growth addressed in our district because we are a mix of rural, suburban, urban communities and varying needs and you might not leave with an answer, but I'm sure these conversations might get you inspired. And that's like the main point is to have these conversations. We'll also be connecting, have a connecting link between the other Cali project groups, and we'll be sharing updates, what's happening within each group. So a little bit about Cali. We can go to that slide. So Cali is the California Environmental Literacy Initiative, and that's led by 10 strands. And really, it's a think tank to focus on environmental literacy within, at least in our capacity, within school districts. And if you are a community-based partner or county office of education, this group will also help give insight to what districts are doing to help kind of disseminate environmental literacy into the hands of classrooms and students. Okay, and then so can you go back to the topic slide? Did we already go over that? Um,
Not yet.
so
Go for it.
today we're gonna just cover some topics of outdoor education, green ribbon program, some funding streams, and then like Paulina mentioned, drop in the chat something that you want to learn about, or oh wait, that's for COP or for our COP, what we want to share out within our breakout rooms. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So we're going to kind of walk through just the infrastructure of Cali and how it really leads to a dynamic ecosystem. And we have a very strong history within Cali. As you see, environmental literacy is not a new thing within California, but this systematic approach to addressing the needs of environmental literacy and sustainability in the classroom has been developed through Cali. And most recently, we're really kind of figuring out how does this fit into classroom standards and frameworks, and you'll find the environmental literacy blueprint and the environmental principles and concepts are already embedded into a variety of different subjects in our curriculum. And I'm apologies if you could hear students in the background. So I don't know exactly what if you hear screams, but I'm like, what is going on out there? All right, go ahead and go to the next slide. Life of juggling students and in this work. So again, a little bit of Cali history. Paulina, do you want to add anything to our history of Cali?
Yeah, sure. So it kind of started from the Blueprint for Environmental Literacy. And the conversation started in 2014, and the blueprint came out in 2015, in September of 2015. It's actually the 10-year anniversary, so it'll be referenced again in this presentation and in other Cali meetings as you participate in those. It's like a foundational document that has really led this work. And from there, a steering committee was founded. And then the California Environmental Literacy Initiative was founded in 2019. And we've gone through a couple of iterations of Cali over the last few years. And we call it Cali. I've heard it also as Kaylee, but it's Cali for most people. And from 2020 to 2021, it was really growing this network, bringing people together. And then 2021, 2024, really focusing on some more specific kind of like uh, groups that were coming together to talk about work that was being done in county offices of education and community-based partners and green careers. All these folks were coming together in innovation hubs and different working groups. And now we are in its third iteration where we are coming together to meet to create projects. So you are all a part of the District Environmental Leaders Community of Practice project.
Okay, so this is just a snapshot of how our governance structure is in Cali. And within the this community of practice for District Hub, you are all activators in this work. And so we're hoping that with this group that we can leave inspired for our districts or for supporting our students in the environmental literacy work. And as for our leadership team, within this particular group, it is myself, and we have Tim Baird, who isn't here this week, but he'll be present in other communities of practice. And he is a former superintendent of Encinitas Union, has led a lot of the environmental work during his time there, and has been a strong advocate for Cali with the previous District Innovation Hub. And then Paulina, what is your role within the group again? Sorry.
I am no, good, great question. I'm more of the backbone support, so you'll be receiving emails from me, reminders, coordination of these meetings are happening through my side. And yeah, if you have any questions or concerns about any logistical aspects of the community of practice, please do reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat, and I'm also going to put the presentation for you all to follow along with as we're going through it today.
Awesome. Thank you. So like I mentioned, our theory of action logic model is really focusing on projects that could lead to change within this work. And so this was something that was developed last year. And we have different domains of focus, the policy and advocacy, community partners, sustainability and resilience, teaching and learning, sustained funding, and that collective action projects and programs. You'll see webinars created through our webinar project, which Nate, I believe, is part of that group. Awesome. And we have meetup groups as well. So we have a meetup group with a project with our Green California Schools and Higher Education Conference that's happening in November. We'll talk more about that during our share outs. And then we also have regional meetups as well. So that's another project group that Nate leads as well. We had a regional meetup in Orange County, not last year, but the year before. And then Nate leads the Bay Area Climate Exchange, which has happened the last 2 years, has been super successful. So that's a project to look to expand that, and we'll be sharing out information within this group among those projects. And the ecosystem of support isn't just a singleton initiative. We have a lot of different support within Cali, and as a personal support system, looking at within our district, I mean, Green Ribbon has been essential. The Green California Schools and Higher Education Conference, Eclipse, California School Year Forest System. Those are all really great players in helping drive this effort of environmental literacy within our district practices. Also Seeds to Solution. So there's a lot of different networks that we work with and avenues for support that we'll be sharing about within this community of practice. All right, so now let's get to the fun stuff. We're going to meet each other, and I'll start out just before we get into our breakout rooms. My name is Glow, and I'm in Laguna Beach Unified School District. I'm our coordinator of environmental literacy. And what that looks like for our specific district is we're a small district. We only have 2,300 students, about 300 staff members, 4 schools, and really we don't have a math coordinator, science coordinator. So what our Board of Education decided, how do we have this umbrella of instructional design that meets the needs of authentic learning, problem solving, real world experiences? And our Board of Education actually saw the environment as that base. And so they created this position with our Earth Day resolution, and our Earth Day resolution has facilities components built in by meeting carbon neutrality by 2030. And then the other half is the instructional piece, the instructional design. And that's where my position falls in. So I get a lot of questions from other districts like, how do you have this position? Well, we cover everything. We cover the arts, we cover CTE, we cover ELA. It's also preschool through 12th grade. So it's a great way to meet the needs of our instructional design, but also meet the needs of our climate impacts and building resiliency within our students. So that's a little bit about me, and we're gonna break out into breakout rooms to get to know our groups. Paulina dropped in the chat some discussion. So share your name, the district you work in, your role, and then if you're with a community-based partnership or county of office of education, go ahead and share that. What is the climate of your district? And then do you have a strategic plan or system for structuring environmental literacy? So to give an example of Laguna, our strategic plan is rooted within the green ribbon pillars. That's literally how we built our strategic plan. We just basically use the green ribbon pillars, and then that's how we address the needs of environmental literacy and sustainability. So you could, if you don't have that, you could also share out what would you desire of having a strategic plan? What would that look like? And how would you get there? If you don't know that, that's okay too. We acknowledge that we're all at different levels of this work, and that's the beauty of this community of practice is sharing out those either areas of growth or wants and needs, desires, or really cool programs that we have in the state. All right, are we ready for the breakout rooms?
Yep.
Awesome. So go ahead and all right, welcome back, everybody. So I was able to hop into pretty much every room, and the conversations were amazing. I mean, we're the first group I hopped in, we're discussing fire ecology with Crystal Cove and seeing where that connects and intersects with Truckee Tahoe's outdoor ed program, some career connections there. Also, Anaheim being in the room. I'm super stoked for some Orange County peeps to be here. Having the green ribbon conversation of how that could support their strategic plan and bringing in the ethnic study piece with Fremont Unified. How does that connect with what they're doing? Such great conversations, super stoked. And we're going to kind of just touch on some environmental literacy components and what that means. But does anyone want to share out any highlights that they took away from their breakout room?
I am motivated to continue the conversation about environmental justice.
Yeah, and hopefully the new Seeds to Solution curriculum that the CDE and 10 Strands, CDE just approved, and then 10 Strands created it. We have a lot of support on our end on rolling out that curriculum, and we've had some teachers in our own district use it. So hopefully that's a great resource for that. Yeah, it's super exciting.
I got to meet Lisa from Crystal Cove Conservancy, and I'm just continue to be amazed at how amazing partners are, and how important to the work we do because we can't do it alone. We just don't have whether it's the resources or the support or the reach. And I love the directory where I can look through partners and
Oh,
see
yeah.
what's out there. But I didn't know about Crystal Cove Conservancy and found out about internships and the programs they offer. Very cool. Thank you, partners.
Yes, totally.
Lisa, you're on my sticky note.
All right, awesome. Any others? Then guess we'll shift gears. Okay. Right. So we're just going to talk about what is environmental literacy, and what are some of the frameworks that we use to support not just our district staff, but also teachers to ensure that students are receiving access to this authentic form of learning, real world learning. And when we look at the terms of environmental literacy, there's a lot of different vocabulary that we can a line that might be garden literacy or looking into solutionary based learning or what we call 4 PBL, problem based, place based, project based, and phenomena based learning. But whatever term that you might use, it might be subject specific, domain specific. It all falls into that umbrella of environmental literacy and really makes learning fun, in my opinion. I always reflect back to when I was a learner. And I didn't really connect with learning until I had access to that civic engagement being rooted in the environment. And I tried to keep that as my like northern star of how I roll out programs in my district of just it engages students in their own communities and allows them to be change makers. And the difference between environmental education and environmental literacy, that environmental education piece is really that like systemic way to organize it within our districts or our classroom sphere. And then the literacy component is, the skills that the students have to apply it. We have some really essential resources when going about rolling this out in your district or your classroom. And we have the environmental principles and concepts, which you could find on the very left-hand side. If you click the photos, it'll take you to the links of those resources. And the environmental principles and concepts are embedded within the frameworks of next generation science standards, our history standards, health, ELA, and math. And then also, we have the NOAA climate literacy standards, which were developed or enhanced last year. However, if you go to the NOAA website to find these standards, it will say error. It is not there. So this is actually a Google Drive copy of the standards. We downloaded it, made sure that it was uploaded in the drive, so we still have access to it because it is a really, really, really good resource in frameworks for climate literacy. We also have Seeds to Solution. If you click on that, it will take you to the different units of study from grades kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. Again, there's a lot of environmental justice work embedded into that. So if you're trying to figure out how do I connect these different environmental justice problems to my classroom, that is a great resource to use. And it also lays out all the next generation science standards and history standards that are embedded in it as well. Also, this is something that we really use in Laguna, and that's the 17 global goals with the United Nations. The reason why we use this a lot in Laguna for our instructional design is because teachers find it really easy to identify and align with. It's structured along the three layers of sustainability. You have the economy, equity of people, and the environmental piece with the biosphere. So that's another great resource to build out your instructional design. And then we also have the environmental literacy blueprint. You have the 6 guiding principles: equity, sustainability, the collaborative piece, the commitment to quality, the cultural relevance and competencies, and then also the variety of learning experiences. So you have access to that as well. And then I invited a couple of district leaders that have really done some amazing work within their ecosystems to drive change in student leadership and environmental education. And this is really what our community of practice is all about. Last year, when we were within our district innovation hub, um, we had who is also going to be in future community practices. She's just not here in this meeting today. We have Ellen McCuller at Berkeley USD, and she did a Fix It Fest. And I was like, what is this Fix It Fest? I want to learn more about it. And so I basically just connected with her within this group. And we ended up doing a Laguna version of the Fix It Fest because of the great ideas that she had. And so that's what this community practice is we share ideas and get inspired by each other. And hopefully we take away something that we can apply within our own district with our own strategic plans. So we're going to have Matthew, Neva, and Ed share out some highlights that they've had within the past couple of years within their district, and hopefully we can take away something from that. So, Matthew, would you like to share out?
Absolutely. I can't wait. So excited to share with the group about some of the amazing things that Pittsburgh and the community here has been able to achieve. Today at 2 o'clock, we'll be doing the groundbreaking for our Green Schoolyards project that is funded by CAL FIRE. So we're really excited about that. We've got about $1.5 million worth of improvements to the outdoor area of the school. We're taking a large grass, water consuming area that the school doesn't use, and we're making building some outdoor classrooms and some urban forest areas. So it's going to be really amazing for the scholars there, and also for the community to be able to use to help promote the environmental literacy project or programs that we're really working to promote here in Pittsburgh. Also, at the same time, we're doing school gardens at every site now. We've got them refreshed. Which school, Matt? It is at Stoneman Elementary. So luckily, that's directly across from my office, so I can run over there throughout the project, make sure everything is staying on track. So very fortunate for that. But the school gardens have really been rejuvenated. We're working closely with on SB 1383 implementation, and really trying to balance between composting, and also getting the food back into the food systems for our unhoused folks here. We have a program called White Pony that will be taking some of the food, but we also want to keep some here so that we can continue to promote our composting program. We're trying to develop at each school site. We're trying to develop a green teams. We had them a few years back when I was doing child nutrition, but they've kind of gone away. Now we're trying to bring them back. So we want to have those scholars just really promoting, the composting, the gardens, actually working in there and harvesting the gardens and doing not only what we're cooking in the kitchen, but also doing some little mini farmers markets. We had a lot of fun doing that, and that really was a good way to get them engaged with it, and also support from the community and help with some sustainability of those projects. We've done a lot of work on our EV vehicles. So my yellow fleet is about 30% zero emission right now. About 60% alternative fuels. We're using propane for our next group of buses that the EVs can't really meet with their range. And also our grounds equipment, we've converted about 95% of our grounds equipment to battery operated. So what a great improvement, not just for reduction of emissions, but also the staff that's operating those. Could you imagine for 6, 7 hours a day having to smell that stinky weed eater and leaf blower? Also, it's so disruptive in class, that noise. I think about that all the time, and I'm proud of the fact that our teams are working to reduce that. As I mentioned in the breakout room, our formal decarb plan, unfortunately, we didn't make the cut last year when we took it to the board for our initial ask. There was a few items in there that the board was concerned about, being able to truly sustain with our budgetary challenges. So we're back to the drawing board with some edits, and we'll bring that back in October or November, and hopefully the board will adopt that. And then we'll have something that's not dependent upon Matt or my predecessor or someone else, that the board can really embrace and really emphasize the importance, and take a formal stand on what's important for the environment and environmental literacy. And then lastly, one thing I'll mention is the Green Schools has really been, becoming a Green School awardee again has really made a big difference in just the marketability of the programs that we're operating. I see. We have our shirts that we wear on Fridays to really showcase and emphasize to our community. My whole leadership team wears all of my leadership team wears these around, and we're hoping that people ask us questions about it so we can talk about what green ribbon actually means and how we can get our scholars and our staff involved, so that they're also engaged as well. And then lastly, I'll mention Clean Air Day is coming up October 1st. And we've done Clean Air Day for this will be our 5th year, and we're hoping that we can have upwards of 4,000 pledges from our scholars and our families that they will continue to promote clean air throughout the year. And we're really excited about it. We're going to actually have this event will be at our high school, and we have folks from across the community, as well as individuals from the California Energy Commission and from our air district, Bay Area Air Quality Management District, will be there to promote spreading the word about clean air, and then really getting our scholars engaged. And we talked and again in our breakout room about Mr. Two, who is a really great champion there at the high school, and he does a club called Club Power that is just focused on environmental topics, and the kids are just really excited about it. So that's a little bit about Pittsburgh, and I'm always welcome to invite folks to come out and see some of these things in action. Sometimes it's easy to hear about them, and when I talk about them, but seeing them in person can also help stimulate some ideas and maybe head off some of those roadblocks or issues that can get in your way as you're working on your down the path. So
I
thank you.
have to steal some of those ideas. Like that is such an awesome. Okay, first of all, the logo's on polo. Why didn't I think of that? Now that we're a Green
Yeah,
Achiever school district, we have to do it. Fridays, you wear your polo.
there you go. It just
I
again
think that visibility
stimulates
is
that
super important.
conversation. Yeah, absolutely.
And the Clean Air Day, it sounds awesome. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's going to be amazing.
Fired up. This is
Yes,
amazing.
I'm pumped.
Thank you so much, Matt. And then we will have Neva. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I didn't know is I'm happy to just explain and talk about. I'm also happy to share slides. I don't know what the preference is.
So we could just share out with our
Yep.
community practice. It's very just share out, discussion based.
Okay, so I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary of my position. Our district wrote into our LCAP that we needed to really start handling what we call in our district environmental stewardship. And so that's kind of our way of attacking environmental literacy, environmental justice, climate change. And so it's all under the umbrella of environmental stewardship. We kind of named our environment facing work roots of change, and that's kind of how we have moved forward as a district interdepartmentally, really trying to make sustainable choices in every area and practice around the district. Can't say that's necessarily caught on yet, but within my reach, what we've accomplished in the last year is we have kinder, second, fourth, and sixth grade, all classrooms receiving PD or professional learning around an environmental stewardship unit that I have then piloted in classrooms this last year. And so all of our units, as Glo was kind of discussing earlier, they all follow the environmental literacy blueprint. They also follow the UN sustainability goals. They all require touches with the EPs and Cs and the tie-in grade levels for the direct NGSS hits, along with interdisciplinary connections, not only to language arts, but to history and social science when possible. And so this year I'm heading up all of the PD for those grades with the expectation that every K2, 4, and 6th grade classroom are doing those units with every student. You might be wondering why not 1, 3, and 5? Well, there's so much work going on. We haven't quite gotten to those yet. And so we're piloting those this year as I continue to flesh those out. The real goal being outdoor learning, inquiry-based instruction, and they all have design thinking and PBL units. So it's very comprehensive and takes a lot of time to make and then pilot and roll out. But we're so excited that we have the district support behind them. The other large part of what I've been working on is we've now hired garden instructors for all of our sites. So a lot of them are sharing sites, but we did not have that in the past. And so now every student across the district has access to a school garden, a garden instructor, and as Matthew was just sharing, a connection to nutrition and food and all of that. So we have a student nutrition component where over time they will be taking those ingredients and using them in that kitchen space, but also giving back to our kitchen, not just the student kitchen. And we already have community-based partnerships with other organizations where even at lunch, all of the excess food is delivered and taken care of. So we've had those in process for a long time. So we're just really happy to be having what we call the Roots of Change programming, that students are getting that time in the garden and with the nutrition program, but then in those grade levels, getting those environmental stewardship units underway with teacher support so it doesn't fall off the radar. Funding, of course, is an issue, but we have what we need for now. And so our school has never applied for Green Ribbon. And I'm sad to say that I don't think it's happening this year either, because we cannot get anyone else outside of our department to start collecting data and using and helping support in it. But we'll get there. It's, my big goal, but I need those around me to be helpful too, because I can't have my hand in all the spaces. But I do intend to attend the conference again this year. I found it enlightening and helpful and supportive. And we're just happy to be a part of this community of practice. We're proud of how far we've come in a year and continue to grow from these communities and want to continue our hard work. Thank you for the stage.
Thanks so much, Neva. And I think that's like a true testament of like how do we build in these teacher learning experiences and that professional development aspect of, with your role in instructional design, really important conversations too, because we want to make sure that all students have access to this. And you guys are doing such an amazing job building that access. And I think you guys can apply for the Green Ribbon. Anyone can apply. And I think you can set the bar high. Reach for the stars. Thank you so much, Neva. And then we have Ed from Tahoe Truckee Unified School District. Super excited to hear about the progress of his outdoor ed program that he started last year within our District Innovation Hub and how that's going. A lot of exciting things.
Thanks, Glo. Ed Hilton. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District, and it's kind of wacky how I got into outdoor ed. I started in college, but I kind of went down the science path. I've been in the school district 20 years as a teacher and a principal and some other things. We all wear a lot of hats in TTOSD. We're about 4,000 students and about 700 square miles. So we're about as big as LA Unified geographic wise, and some of the most beautiful place in the world, I think. A little biased, but we were a gold green district, and then we were able to get Green Achiever back in like 2017, 18. And then unfortunately, as these things happen, when somebody leaves the district, they get put on the shelf. And, pretty much stayed on the shelf through 2020. And we started a strategic plan process about 3 years ago. And it was our community and our board's a priority to get kids outside more. I mean, it was actually really just as simple as that. And build better partnerships with the folks in our community that are doing a good work in Tahoe Truckee area. And I just happened to sit on cabinet, and I didn't have a lot of action items in the strategic plan, so I raised my hand and volunteered, and that's how the tech guy is doing outdoor ed too. So they are calling me the facilitator now. So it's been fun time. Our first year in the strategic plan, we spent a lot of time doing evaluation with our schools. What are they doing? What are our partners doing? And we found that where there's a lot of inequity, especially post-COVID, about which schools do what, which grade spans, pretty much no overnight residential type programs at all anymore. And we, did some more surveying of our community, and everybody was just like, off screens, outside, do more. So we took our marching orders, and last year, which is our second year of the strategic plan, we started a few prototypes in 4 groups. We had over 50 partners come to our meetings over that first year, with teachers and administrators and community partners. They're all super excited about doing this work, and but we couldn't do it as a big team of 50 people, so we divided up into 4 groups. We had curriculum and instruction, looking at alignment across our grade spans and schools, of which we have 12. And then secondly was green, much of what Matthew was sharing about schools and how green they are. You'd think up in Tahoe that we have all of our schools are green, but we have 4 schools that barely have a tree on them. They're right up against I-80, which is a highway, and a lot of blacktop, not a lot of green space or garden space, and a little difficult to get somewhere where they have green to go to. Our third group was community partnerships, and looking at how this was a 3-year strategic plan. What can we do after the strategic plan is over, and how can we continue the movement, just trying to be sustainable, both that when I'm not doing it or when somebody else leaves, that we don't kind of lose that momentum. And then the fourth group was somebody on a survey put, wouldn't it be great to turn a school that we had shut down 20 years ago, which was an expensive storage facility on the west shore of Lake Tahoe, into an outdoor school? And a few of us got a harebrained idea to do a proposal, and our board said, yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. So we had our first overnight in April, and we got a bunk bed grant. And this fall, we're having 300 students, October 6th through 15th. 3 different camps, 100 each, for a 3x3. And thank you to COSA, the California Outdoor Schools Association, for all the partnership and work to help us out, as well as California State Parks, because this particular school is surrounded by a state park. So it's a perfect spot for an outdoor school. And so State Parks is, we're meeting next week with some of their state folks. They're going to help us with a 10-year strategic plan for the facility. And they're doing some in-kind donations to our program. And then we're applying for a grant together through Placer County for $300,000 for shower trailers. We only have 2 showers on the whole facility, and we need about 8 more. So we're working on that grant. It's due today, so that's what I'm going to do as soon as I get off the call. Very fun. Lots of prototypes going on. We are trying just new things out of the box, and we're finishing our alignment this year with input from our school sites, administrators, teachers, kind of tweaking things. But I have our board presentation there, and also our outdoor school proposal. We haven't turned that into a plan yet. We're working with State Parks on that. But we'd love to have you check things out. And there's a link in the board presentation for the curriculum alignment. And we worked with a group called Inclusion Outdoors that had done the same thing for Boulder School District in Colorado. And they helped us kind of look at all this, like all the different places where these outdoor education environmental literacy standards are, and try to kind of put them together in a coherent way. Because we know that like if I bring this to teachers and say, oh, now you got to do outdoor ed stuff, it's just like one more thing. Like, how do we build this into a lot of the things that we're already doing? And as pretty much everybody said, you know, these are the things that make learning fun. So we're excited. It's kind of crazy that we're in Tahoe Truckee and we just kind of had a you know, wilting on the vine outdoor education program, and so we're excited to put some new life into it.
So awesome seeing this develop over the past year. So proud of you guys.
Thank you,
And
Glow.
very jealous at the same time.
And everyone. I mean, and that's the encouragement that I got, like going to Cali, you know, working with 10 Strands, working with COSA, all these groups that just network. Like, we're like, I'm like a tech guy, like, could we start a camp? And they're like, yeah, have kids sleep over at the school, try it out. Great, okay, we'll do that. And then, you know, parents are like, we want more of this. And then we have a board member who lives in the neighborhood and she's like, yeah, let's do this. So you know, it just, the momentum builds when you start sharing that excitement and that vision. So it's powerful, and thank you all. You're all a part of it.
Awesome. So stoked for you guys. So we have a couple follow-up questions. I know we're nearing the end of our community of practice. We're going to open up a quick breakout room to share out. Paulina has some questions she's going to put into the chat. Maybe just share out one thing that you took away from the conversation, what motivated you, and how we can support you in our future community practices. So we're going to open those up. And are we good to open them up, Paulina?
They're good. I also see Hope has her
Oh.
hand, and so just want to quickly address that before we move
Yes,
into.
sorry about that.
Thank you so much. It was a question for Ed. I was curious if the kids in your district went to Exploring New Horizons at Pigeon Point before.
We did used to go to Pigeon Point, yes. And that's part
Oh,
of, you
okay.
know, and
Yeah, I work.
did you recognize our yeah,
Well, no, I worked there for several years, and the Truckee kids were our favorite because they were super outdoorsy, but then the ocean was a huge novelty.
right.
So it was like so fun when they came.
Yeah. Like many districts, I mean, we were down, we have no, as of last year in October, no any more overnight programs. We used to go to Catalina, Pigeon Point, Shady Creek, some others. Just bus drivers, transportation, cost, all the things, it just were hindrances to us. So we're like, let's do our own. And maybe we can offer some space for other folks to come up. But a lot of people look, I hope that we can start to add those in again, but we're finding parents a little more concerned about sending their kids away to, we're 40% Spanish speakers. So keeping them a little bit closer to home is, you know, we're finding more participation.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, and they're going to be larger rooms. There's going to be more folks in them to hopefully cultivate some more conversation. But again, so sorry for the short amount of time. Just keep that in mind as we go into them. On my end,
All good. All good.
there we go. All right.
Awesome. So hopefully the conversations left you with either questions on what next or what you're inspired about. We're happy to continue these in the next meetings. So our next one is Friday, October 3rd, same time. And then if you want to pre-register for the rest of the year, we have a link embedded into the slide, and it will push it into your calendar invite. Thanks so much, Paulina, for organizing that. It's super helpful. But this is really what our community practice is about, engaging with others. You know, we all might be in different regions of the state, but we all have similar problems, like we talked about in our breakout rooms, and we're happy to support those conversations. Some upcoming events, we have our equity integration project. So we have the flyer linked in with some topics, dates, and times, with also links to register. We have our first webinar, which the webinars are super helpful in learning about different strategies and skills for environmental literacy and implementation. So there's a flyer again with topics and dates and signups. And then we have, if you are local or are able to travel to Pasadena in November, we have the Green California Schools and Higher Education Summit. We have a Cali Meetup Day from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Pasadena Conference Center, and then the actual conference is the 13th. So the meetup for Cali would be the 12th, and then the conference is the 13th. And then some takeaways, please provide any feedback. If you are looking for any additional support on our next community practice, drop in a comment on that feedback form of what we could focus on. It'd be super helpful as we navigate our next sessions. We really want to make sure that this group is sharing out what they would need in this think tank. So. But I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And we have our website for Cali linked here. And if you guys have any questions, I'm here to stay on for a couple minutes, but have a great weekend. And there's some nice weather wherever you're at because it's nice down here, almost too hot.
Well, can I put in a little bit more of a plug for the upcoming webinar
Absolutely.
later
We would
this
love
month?
that.
So, yeah, the topic later this month is extreme heat. We're seeing the impacts of extreme heat on schools around the state. The session will feature a pediatrician who will talk about the impacts of heat on children and their particular vulnerabilities. Then we'll hear stories from different corners of the state about how different districts and community partner organizations have been working together to address those challenges in outdoor spaces and facilities, and also closing out with looking at some of the resources and funding trends that might help support that adaptation that we're all going to need to navigate. So hopefully you can join us. It should be a really great session to help build our collective understanding of the challenges of extreme heat and what different people are doing about it in our schools.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. All right. Well, and that concludes our community of practice, but I'm here to stay on for like a minute or so if you guys have any questions. If not, have a fabulous week.